Good morning. Watercolor is never as beautiful as it is in big glowing washes. Keep watching to see exactly how you can do this. The information is online at watsonwatercolor.com. First, pick your colors. Here are the colors I'm using, but there's a lot of different colors that will give you the same effect. The easiest way to make concentrated washes are to use paint fresh from the tube. If you don't have enough room to mix puddles of color on your palette, you can use small containers like yogurt cups. But mix up more paint than you think you're going to need. I mixed a small puddle of yellow, a large puddle of orange, and a puddle of dark brown. That's orange plus a little purple. Test the color on scrap paper to see how it's going to dry. My dark looks only medium, so I'm adding more purple. That's darker, but if I add a little dark blue, now it's as dark as I'll need. For a smooth wash, use a big wash brush and work on wet paper. I tinted the water so you can see where I'm wetting. The entire sky down to where the fog begins. I won't be painting around the trees or the moon. We'll take care of those later. Just make it easy on yourself. Where the moon will be, I start with some yellow, making the yellow bigger than I want because some of this is going to get covered up when I'm blending the colors. I add orange to the yellow for a light orange, and for a smooth blend, you can use a damp fan brush or pick up your paper and tilt it. Let gravity do your blending. Your blend does not need to be perfect. Next, add a darker orange to the top edges. To make a darker orange, just mix some of your orange with some of your dark. And then I'm back to the fan brush to blend. You can stop at any point. If you're happy with your sky, stop there and dry it well. Next, paint the distant trees with a small brush. The tree on the left is a brownish orange. The very distant trees from the right side across the middle are a light brown. That's my brown with a lot of water. You could try to soften the bottom edge where the fog will go, but the white is going to cover the edges at the end anyway, so a hard edge is fine. The last tree mass is the darkest brown, although you can dab in some of the orange while you're painting so that it matches the rest of the picture. I'm using some dark and some orange. And there's the tree line, which is the lightest in the middle. The land under the trees on the left is dark brown on the bottom and lighter on the top. And I'm going to scrub a little color onto that left tree because it looks pretty flat. Now we're ready for some real dark, the darkest bit in the painting. Yep, it's bleeding up into the area above it, but it doesn't look too bad. It's time to dry this and evaluate my colors. The orange tree is too light and the ground beneath it isn't darker on the bottom, so I repaint those and then dry them again. The land beneath the tree trunks needs to be a light brown, and once that is in, you can begin to see the fog. The reflection of the trees in the water is also brown. It's nice to get it painted while you have that color. I start with the light brown and then darken it and dry well. One way you can check your values is to fold the reference photo and hold it next to your painting. I can see that the reflection I just painted is not nearly dark enough. Tweaking your values is really important for your silhouette. You can paint them as many times as you need to get the values right. For the large landmass, I mix up more dark brown and then add some of the very dark to the bottom edge while it's still wet. Then I dry it again. My hairdryer is getting a workout on this video. Last, paint the water. For smooth water, wet the river first. The light orange can go over the reflection and the middle of the river, and then it gets darker as the river nears the right edge. You can darken it by adding darker orange and a little brown. Once again, a fan brush can help you blend the different values. The tree on the right is mostly a bare trunk and limbs. But you can scrub on some late leaves with a mostly dry brush. Just scrub the side of the dry brush across the paper so that only a little color is scrubbed on. Practice this on scrap paper until you get the hang of it. I'll add more leaves later, but be sure to add the tree's reflection in the water while you have that color handy. Now it's time for the fog. How does your fog look? If it looks okay, you can just leave it alone. If you want to touch it up, you'll get good results if you start with buff titanium or opaque white plus a little of your brown. That's thick paint, almost no water. This will give the fog a hint of color because fog isn't completely white. Once you have that on, switch to white and work some of the white into the buff color. That can give you a very believable looking fog. To add a moon, you could lift it out with Mr. Clean's Magic Eraser, or paint it on with opaque white, and I'm using a little of the buff titanium for shading. A few tiny white lines, just suggestions of lines, should go in the dark where the water meets the land. You can also add a few white lines or squiggles in the water. And here you have a silhouette with fog. I'll add more to the online lesson about how to add fog after my in-person class on Tuesday. So if you're interested to see more, check watsonwatercolor.com. Remember, your painting doesn't have to look like mine to be successful. Every painting is unique, and the important thing is if you're happy with it. Happy painting!